Welcome back to another episode of Raul's World of Synths. I am Raul. Today we're going to be kind of picking up where we left off on this kind of deconstruction of the quadraphonic patch that we used in the Doepfer A100 joystick controlled CB video series. If you joined us in the last one, part one of this series, we kind of looked at the first half of the creation of this patch. I'm going to throw the diagram up here so you can see what I'm talking about. We kind of tackled the top portion of this, the Y controller portion, where we kind of split the signal, went to the A175 and then the VCA2, and if you look at our patch over here, we went over to multiples and then went into our inverter. Regular signal, if you follow this down, went to VCA2, and then inverted signal went all the way over to VCA1. And in addition, we also set up our sound source, as well as set up our outputs from our two VCAs down here at the bottom, what I'm calling VCA1 and VCA2 over in our diagram, up at the top under audio in. And then from there, we actually took them out. If you look over here on our patch, we took them out and then went up into our quad VCA. And in our diagram, it actually took care of our audio inputs going into the four VCAs over there. But we have yet to have added in the control voltage signal from the X over at our joystick controller. So that's what we're going to be doing this time around, is kind of continuing the deconstruction of this patch and seeing how I set it up. So without further ado, let's go ahead and finish this up. So if you look at our diagram, you can see that there's a line going down from the X, and then it's going over to the A175, and then it's actually split a few times before it goes over to its respective VCAs. So let's go ahead and set that up. So we're going to go out from our X output over here, and then we're going to go over. I think I used the lower part of this multiple, so I'm going to stay consistent with that. So I'm going to plug in there, and then I have a short cable that I'm going to use to go over to my A175. There we go. All right. So now the inverted signal is going to actually go to what I'm calling VCA3, which is essentially the one at the very, very top in the diagram if you look at it. Yeah, right there at the very top. So that's going to be VCA3. And then it's also going to be going over to VCA5, which is 2 down from that. So if you look at that, over here on the patch, we're going to be taking the inverted output, and we're going to need to split that and then go to, let's see, VCA3, which is right there, and then VCA4, which is right there. So I'm going to need a stack cable for that. So here we go, inverted out. And the only reason I'm using a stack cable is because I don't have a multiple handy over here in this area. So I'm going down, and I'm going over here, and make sure that's all the way in. It looks a little out. I'm going into VCA number 3, the top VCA over there. And then I need to take another output of that, right there, by plugging into that, and then go into what I'm calling VCA4, or sorry, not 4, VCA5, almost misspoke, which is the 2 VCAs down over in our diagram over there. And so that's going to be, let's see if I got this right, it's going to be this one. And so let's kind of try that out a little bit. So we have some movement, but we don't have the entire movement yet, because we haven't set up the regular signal, the output that is not inverted from the A175 and or take it out from the multiple over here. because our regular control signal is just going in there, getting inverted, and then going over here to our two VCAs. So let's go ahead and set that part up too. And I could do this a couple ways. As I said, I think in the previous one, the A175 is equipped with a mini multiple. So the signal going into the top jack here is actually being multiplied here. Or since I have it feeding over here, I can also take it from there too. But the goal here is to actually get it down into the bottom, where it's going to go into, let's see, that's VCA number 4 right here in our patch, and then over here as well. So I'm going to need a few cables for that. So I'm going to just take it from the mini multiple over here. And then I'm going to go down to here, VCA 4. If you look at our diagram, it's VCA 4 up at the top. So it's the second one down up in the top right section. And then now let's take the other one from this section over here. There we go. And then this one we're going over to, let's see, that would be VCA number, what I call VCA 6 if you look at the diagram. So it's over there, bottom right. There we go. So now we should have, I believe, all our signals set up, and now is the sort of moment of truth where we can kind of test it out. And this, ideally, if I did everything correctly here, then we should actually have the patch that I had in the A174 video. So let's see, I think at the top we had about 2 o'clock. 11 o'clock. And that sounded pretty good. Alright. So, in a nutshell, that is the patch deconstructed. But I did want to take a little bit of time just kind of experimenting with this a little bit. So we started with a notch this time, and then a low pass. I'm not 100% sure, but it sounds different to me than it did before. So I'm going to play around with the frequency a little bit, the frequency cutoff. And now keep in mind, if you really wanted to keep your sound uniform throughout the stereo field, or the quad space, I mean, in all 4 of these areas, you could choose 2 different sort of flavors of the same sound, but you could also pipe the same sound, but you wouldn't have as much of a variance there. I chose kind of these 2 filters because I thought it would be an easy demonstration, but you know, we could pretty much inject anything, and by anything I mean almost anything. Like for example, we could have injected the A188-1 over here into this sort of signal path if we wanted to. And there's a few places in this patch where we could actually sort of vary it if we wanted to. Like for example, why don't we try something like that? Let's see if I have another cable that might facilitate what I'm thinking here. Alright, so what I'm going to do, because I have another audio input down here in my VCA number 1, I'm going to try and put something else here. So I'm going to take the, let's just try the bandpass out and go into our BBD. Over there, audio input, and then we're going to need to take audio output from over there, so mix out. And then just go straight down into our VCA number 1. Now, I'm not sure what this is going to sound like, so bear with me. We're just experimenting at this point. Let me decrease our, let's see, feedback. feedback a little bit. I think our delay clock noise is going out of control over there. Increase feedback now a little bit. And I'm going to flip the polarity of the BBD signal. And then down here at our VCA, number 1, if I wanted to, I could kind of adjust the level of that. Increase the BBD signal or decrease our regular signal. So now I have a lot of places where I can sort of vary this, as if I didn't have enough already. At any rate, let's go ahead and try this now with the joystick and see what we get. So if our stereo field that we're listening to either on your television set or on your mobile device or your headphones or whatever you're listening to, if that were a quad space, then this area up here would be kind of the dry signal. And then down here you would have some of the wet signal with the BBD. Now if we wanted to make it all BBD, we'd have to get another cable involved. And then this is going to be the last example before we wrap this up, because I know I could experiment for hours here. So I'm going to take the mix out. There we go. And I'm going to go down into, let's see, audio input here. So this is VCA number 2, so then our quad space is going to be filled with BBD now. But, let's see, I think I just unplugged one of those. Yeah, there it is. So I need to go right there. I'm just bringing down the clock. At this point, I just need to kind of tweak the patch until I get something more natural. Yeah, let me play with the envelope. A little bit of the filter. So that's just one more example of what we could do. And, you know, since we have the X and the Y both set up, I mean, we could even do something else. I know I said I was just going to do one more, but I can't resist. So I'm going to take the X right here, and I'm just going to feed it over to the delay clock. I'll put it in CV input number 2. So now my X should also control the delay clock as well. Not a huge change there. I'll bring the CV input up a little bit. It's a nice little variance there. And then why not? Let's just take one more on the Y. And we'll actually add in, let's see. Well, let's just add something over here to our frequency cutoff, and it'll be summed with the input that's coming from our envelope. So that's going to be actually the Y, I believe. This is just an experiment here. And I'll leave you with this. So tons and tons of fun with one little patch. And there are kind of like clock noises coming in a little crazy there. But I may play with this patch a little more as soon as I'm done. At any rate, I hope this shed a little bit of light into what was involved setting up this patch for the A174 series. I thought it was kind of an interesting exercise to do this. I know there's a lot of different ways that you could probably set up a quadraphonic patch, and if you're a member over at Modular, you can check out a thread that I started over there on quadraphonic sound. I think Navs from Nav's Modular blog actually contributed a little bit to that as well. And then a few other people, D. Kramer and a few other people also contributed with their own little takes on quadraphonic sound within the modular environment. This is just one example of quadraphonic, as I was saying before, specifically with the Doepfer system and a specific patch that is found in one of the Doepfer modules, or module manual. But there are dedicated modules that you can also get that will sort of simplify your life a little bit if you tend to do this a lot. But if it's something that you only do once in a while, then this is one way that you can kind of create this with modules you may have. So if you are planning on setting up something like this, again, we needed 6 VCAs in this, as well as, you know, sound source, of course, joystick controller, and then something to invert your signals. So hopefully this will help you out if you ever need to set something like this up, or if you just need to see someone do it before you jump in, and might save hours of frustration for you. At any rate, I want to thank you for watching, and keep on patching out there.